UI once again. Thank you for joining my channel today. Today I'm going to talk about my favorite machine. If I will choose the machine to use to make an espresso, this is the machine I go for. And this is the VBM Domobar Super. It is the electronical version, which means that it is fully controlled by touchscreen and there's no manual lever and whatsoever. So let me tell you more about this machine and why I choose this machine to be my favorite machine to be used if ever I need to pull a very good espresso. Right, so let's get to it. Right, so first of all, this machine is the pressure profiling machine, which comes with a dual boiler and gear pump. And with the gear pump setup, it is able to give you a very precise pressure because it uses the gear to push for the pressure. And this is a machine that you need to learn how to use. And if you are first time using or making espresso, you may find it very challenging and very how do I put it? Because there are simply too many factors you have to consider in order to pull a good shots or to pull consistent shot, especially if you try to use this in a small cafe setup and you want your shot to be consistent. So first of all, what's so special about this VBM Domobar Super is, of course, is pressure profiling. And in my other video, I have already shown you the capabilities of the pressure profile. And currently, I'm actually using the profile. Let me see the profile that I'm using now. Okay, go to setting, go to right. There's a pressure profile there, and then click OK. And then it's currently displaying profile 6, which is my favorite profile so far. And to see how the profile is, I'm just going to probably pull a shot and show you how the profile actually goes. Alright, so there's a single cup, double cup function. These are actually the shortcut menu for you to instantly start brewing, and this is the manual button whereby you do a manual stop, start and stop. This one you can just do a manual stop and it should stop. A manual start and then it should stop automatically after some time. And I will explain how much time or what are the factors affecting the time for your shot. Right, I will explain this slightly later. Right, so first of all, let me just pull a shot to see you. Currently, my polyfilter is empty. So a VBM machine is different from other machine in a way that they are E61 group. You can see that this is the E61 group from the VBM. Right, I'm going to show you next one. Okay, maybe the Marax. Okay, which is just next to it. Right, you can see that Marax is just a simple no screw and nuts, on top of the E61 group. Whereby in the VBM Super, there's this additional device that's be on top of their E61 group, and this is known as the Flow Regulator. And the reason we have this is to electronically monitor the flow of water that's flowing through the group head and also the pressure experienced by the puck. So this is when it gets a bit tricky. If you try to use a grinder and if the grinder doesn't give you a consistent output in terms of gram, and if you don't prep your coffee puck well, and you're going to run into problem whereby it will give you inconsistent timing here. Okay, basically this super machine is a volumetric machine whereby the time of the shot, if you set to auto, will actually depends on the puck resistance. So if your puck is different every time, your shot time will be different every time. And that's the reason why some of my customers who purchase this machine from me are experiencing some difficulty in getting consistent shot. First of all, they may not weigh their coffee that's grounded. Hence, therefore, that's the first possibility whereby it will give you inconsistent shot. Secondly, even if the bean have left inside the hopper for a long time, and there could be a chance that the humidity will get in, the coffee bean gets softer, and the grinding of the coffee bean will give you a slightly different grind quality, and that will actually affect. Hence, therefore, in a cafe situation, the calibration of the grinder is very important because you have to see the condition of the day. And if you are inside an aircon room, right, probably the temperature doesn't fluctuate too much, and if you have the hopper cover on, it is probably okay for the day. But the next day again, you have to actually recalibrate and recheck your flow rate and everything else, right? So this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to first show you my profile, and then I'm going to show you what are the factors that are going to affect the consistency of your shot on the VBM Super. So if you can see, I'm just going to do manual and let you hear the pump. Right, that's when the pressure drop to 0, and then it will still trickle a little bit of water. Then this is when you hit the stop button to deactivate the flow of water. Right, so this is the profile I'm going to use to test or to dial in the machine. So the next part is the grinder, right? I'm going to pair this machine with the K90 grinder, with the time-based grinder, and this is what I do when I try to dial in every day. You got to waste a little bit of coffee bean, which is it can't be helped. So basically now, first of all, let's go into the screen, right? Again, this is a touch screen one. All the adjustment of the grind size and grinding time is all done by the touchscreen menu here. So if you swipe to the left, right, give you all the single shot timing, single shot grind time. Okay, I don't really play with single shot, so this one I don't really use. Right, the double shot timing, which is currently set about 4.4 seconds. And you can see that the internal temperature is 45 degrees Celsius. Right, all these will give you how many cups you have already grinded, and how many cups you do manual, how many cups you do double. So you can see mostly I do double shot grind, and how many cups you have done, and things like that, right? And they'll also ask you, you are supposed to replace your burr in about 2,000 hours of usage. Right, so let's go back to, okay, and of course to adjust the grind size, this whole thing is actually, the adjustment is actually electronical. So if you go to grind setting, right, you can see the grinding gear here. So again, there's a gear inside that actually control the grind size. So if you press plus, you can hear the gear turning slightly to generate a 0.1 difference in the grinding size, right? So of course, if you want to quick start jump to 10, 4 whatsoever, if you press this button, the motor is going to will engage the gear, and then it will start to increase the grind size to whichever grind size that you want. So for espresso currently, I'm going to try at 1.8. Right, so let's return back to the menu. Right, and now what I'm going to show you is how am I going to grind this consistently. So you can see I have a weighing scale at the bottom. Right, first of all, I have to see for the grinds, for the grinding time of I believe it's 4.7 seconds, 4.4 seconds, how much coffee am I getting out from here, right? So I'll run a few times to see whether the error is within, let's say, 0.2 to 0.3 gram of difference. So let's get to it. So right now, I'll just press that. Right, so currently it's about 19.5 gram. I've adjusted the gear, so this is not going to be accurate. So let me dump this away. You can see I've already tested the machine. Don't worry, I'm not wasting coffee ground here. These are all the stale coffee. So no coffee is wasted here. These are all expired coffee. Right, so let me try again. Okay, 19.8. Right, so let me do it again. Okay, 19.3. So there's a discrepancy of 5 gram, which 0.5 gram, which is not very good. So let's do it again. Okay, there's about 20 grams. So from 19.8, it jumps to about 20 grams. So let's try that again. Right, so it is about 20 grams for about 4.4 seconds. So I will put a scale at underneath to check whether every time I'm actually getting this, because in order to make sure that you pull a consistent shot out from the VBM Domobar Super, first of all you must make sure that your coffee, the amount of coffee that you're grinding is the same every time, or I would say almost the same every time. Right, so now I will switch out the coffee bean and then to a fresh one. Then we'll try to pull a shot from with this pair of combinations. Right, so this is the K90, which is a 83 mm burr, flat burr, and of course this is the VBM Super from Italy. Right, so let's get started for the next segment. To dial in the coffee espresso, I'll be using the of course the coffee from our favorite coffee, which is the Cafe Metella Roma. Right, so if you have not tried their coffee bean, you have to try it. Right, they produce a very great Italian blend of coffee, and I'm going to use the Mirrors class. And according to the description, right, it is, in terms of the aroma is 5, in terms of crema is 5, in terms of the the difference between this and the maximum is of course the acidity. This one has a slightly higher acidity as compared to the maximum class. Alright, so let's try this coffee. Alright, so let's open up a new bag of coffee. And yes, we have to dial in the coffee again. So I'm going to waste a little bit of fresh coffee here. So please don't blame me for that. And yes, I'm using a hopper, grinder with hopper, because I want to show this as a way that, you know, some of the cafe or people that wanted to run a cafe but with not a lot of knowledge on dialing of espresso, and in a cafe setting, it makes more sense for you to have a grinding system that with a hopper, so that you don't have to measure the coffee bean, and that's what the time base is for, right? So let's open this, let the bean settle down, and then we will try to grind again to see the consistency. Right, currently I'm grinding at about 1.8 grind size according to this scale here. Right, and grinding time of course is 2:44. Right, I'm going to manually start this until the coffee comes out. Right, and I'm going to start to measure. Right, 18.7, 18.8. So you can see that initially the coffee will be slightly different, and how much coffee you fill up the hopper also make a difference, right? So I'm just going to fill that up. Right, about 250 grams inside, or maybe 300 grams. So let's try that again. Okay, so you can see now I'm getting about 19.5 grams. Right, so we'll do one more to make sure that it is consistently at 19.5. Remember just now when I do the testing, I'm using stale coffee. This is fresh coffee, so it may actually make a difference. So every time you use new sets of coffee bean, even though the bean may be from the same batch that we have purchased, but from different bags, they may actually behave differently, right? Right, 18.5, you can see it's varying a little bit. So I will really need to check if I'm getting consistently 18.5. Right, so 18.5 is the mass I'm getting consistently. So which means to say, when I change the beans, the grinding time to achieve the grinding time is fixed at 4.4 seconds, but then you can see that I'm getting less from due to the change of beans, right? So now I'll be using 18.5 consistently, and the next thing that's going to affect your extraction is your grind size, of course. And when you adjust the grind size again, you got to run through the same thing of making sure that you always get the same output every time. And if 18.5 gram is the output that you're looking for, then then there will be some value they're going to start off. So right now I'm going to grind at 18.5, and then I'm going to show you how I prepare my coffee puck. Right, so let me try to pull a shot from here and then see how's the extraction like, and then after that I'm going to key in the time on the Domobar Super and see whether I can get consistently short time, the machine should should cut the pump and stop the extraction after you have achieved a certain extraction rate. Okay, so I think because this cup is a bit too small, I have to adjust the position slightly, otherwise it's going to get very messy. So okay, let me tell you what I'm going to... Okay, let me zero this, and I'm going to bring this closer so that I will not get any spillage. Right, it's about 18.8. Okay, let me clear this out because there are some coffee ground that's stuck onto this plate. Right, this process is going to be quite long and I have to keep repeating this process, and please don't find this, if you find this boring, you can just skip to the next part which you find interesting for yourself, right? So this is 18.5 gram. You see, after I remove the coffee from there, it dropped back to 18.5. So right now, let's prepare the coffee puck. So the machine has been warmed up, and the polyfilter is nice and warm. And then I'm just going to so I'm just going to prepare the puck. Okay, so let me show you how I prepare the puck. To prepare the puck, there's a few things I actually use. First of all, is this WDT tools, which actually spin, and it comes with a needles, right, which spins, right, and a brush that help you clean the needle to get rid of all the coffee ground that's stuck on the brush. I believe the needle is about 0.4 to 0.5 mm thick. I will probably use a caliper to measure this, but so far I've been getting quite good result from this spinning WDT tools. And on my tamping station, right over here, right, you can see I have a distributor, right, a 3-fin distributor, right, just a generic one. Don't have to be a branded one to get good results. And I have a cookie press, which is a self-leveling tamper, which will help me tamp consistently and evenly every time. So first, this is what I'll do. Right, use the spinning WTT, put on top. Right, don't have to spin violently, just spin slowly and gently. And then you see, it will give you very fluffy coffee ground. And just gently tap it down. Give it a spin to clean off the remaining coffee bean. Right, and of course you can put it here, and then you can just use your distributor, push down, give a spin to level, move over to your cookie press, right, just put it on top and then push it down, and that's all, right? So you get very level puck preparation every time. So if you follow this process and you keep repeating this every time you do your coffee extractions, you're going to get more consistent result, because you know you are consistent, you are not changing your workflow, and hence therefore if something goes wrong in your extraction, it'll be easier for you to find out where went wrong, right? So this is the idea of a consistent workflow. Before we start to make coffee, I'm just going to show you how this machine actually works, the VBM Domobar Super. Right, technically this is a volumetric machine which actually check how much output of liquid you are getting and not the time. So every time the time can be different because of the way you prepare your puck, or the way that your grinder is working to grind your coffee bean. Every time you grind, there may be a slight inconsistency in the grind, and hence the liquid that flows through the puck will be different every time.
So this could affect your output, right? But right now you can see that there's no polyfilter, so I'm just going to show you how the machine actually register in terms of the volume that's passing out from the group head, and the time that I stop, right? So let's go back to the setting, right? Goes back to these two drop setting here, and then you can choose 4 different setting here. You can have one short, one long, 2 short and 2 long, right? But you can, these are settings that you can do for yourself. It doesn't matter. So right now I'm going to use the 2 long. So I'm just going to press, and the moment I press, I'm going to check the amount of water that's coming out. I'm going to stop around 100 grams of water. Right, so it's about 108 grams of water, and it takes about 18 seconds to do that. So right now, let me pour away this water. Right, and I will try to replicate this, and the machine should stop at around 100 plus grams of water, right? So let's return to the manual. Remember just now I used the double shot. So I'm going to use the double shot this. Right, you can see the machine stops around 110 grams of water, and it just auto shut down. Right, so technically it registers the amount of liquid that's flowing out from your group head rather than the time. So you can see the time varies a little bit. Just now was about 16-17 seconds, now it's about 18 seconds. So there's a slight variation, but it should be within the range of maybe 5%, I would say. So this is a volumetric based machine, so that's how the machine works. So now let's try to replicate that with coffee, right? And with coffee, it's going to be a little bit more tricky, because every time you grind, your grinder may not provide the best consistency of the coffee distribution, so that may actually give you a slightly different result every time.
Right, so let's move on to the actual making of the espresso and see whether it actually registers the same output and stop in time. And to test the machine with the grinder, I'm just going to run a straight 9-bar shot. So this is not going to have any profile variation. It's just going to be a standard 9-bar throughout, right? So let's dose directly into the portafilter. Right, and we'll measure the coffee. Okay. I forgot to tare. Okay, never mind. Let's dump this away. Right, so sometimes it happens. I'm not going to edit the video to show you some mistakes I actually made in during the making of this type of video. Right, it's about 18.5 grams of coffee. So okay, let's move on to the puck preparation. So I'm going to just move the camera around to show you how I actually prepare the puck. Right, and it's done. Okay, right now we're going to try to replicate the results by dosing about 18 grams of coffee, and then I'm going to dose already to the portafilter, and then I'm going to pull maybe about 25 grams to 30 grams of coffee depending on the flow rate, and then I'll stop the machine to register the time. Remember, this is not a time-based machine, this is a volumetric machine, meaning that the flow meter here will detect the amount of water that's flowing through the puck and detect the resistance, and also and then finally try to output the same amount of liquid. When I say same, please bear in mind that same will not be exactly the same grams of coffee that's coming out. There's going to be a slight difference of 2 to 3 grams, and in this flow meter control count machine, 2 to 3 gram difference every time is actually considered as excellent results. So do not expect the result to be the same, which means if you dose 30 grams, do not expect 30 grams to come out exactly every time, because this is the limitation of the technology. Right, so let's dose it in gram directly into the portafilter. I will skip the part whereby where I prepare the puck, because you have seen me doing that. Okay. I have forgotten to zero out the tare the grain scale, so let me do that again. Right, this is about 18.7. I dose slightly more, so I'm just gonna take out. That's why you need a spoon and a waste basket bin to actually dump away the coffee ground. So it's about 18.1 gram. So I will try to be as consistent in terms of the output of the grinded coffee as possible. So I'm just going to quickly do my WDT. I'll be doing this off the camera, but I'll try to do the commentary here while you admire the beauty of this VBM Domobar Super with the K90. Right? Alright, so I'm back. So put down the scale, because we want to measure the amount of coffee that's coming out. Okay, let's put the cup underneath. Okay, right now I'm going to bring you closer to see how we program for the first shot. Right, so remember, we are going to go to the setting. Right, you have 4 different settings to choose from. You can choose any of this. I'll just choose a simple one as the first single shot. And then I'll take note of the output of the coffee. And right now I'm running a 9 bar straight shot. The shot looks pretty good. Right, it's now about 20 seconds. Okay, I'm stopping at 30 seconds, right? And I'm outputting about 25 grams of coffee. This is probably a little bit under extracted. So I could have grind slightly coarser on the machine to get a better extraction ratio. But remember, we are hitting about 30 seconds and getting about 25 grams of coffee. So this is around, we're going to try to replicate this. Of course, remember, even though I said replicate, it's not going to be exactly 25 grams. It's going to be plus minus about 2 grams of coffee, 2 to 3 grams of coffee, right? Okay, so let's go on to the try to prepare the part as exactly the same as possible. So, right, let me get a cup. Right, so we're going to replicate the shot just now. So return to the manual. Remember, we use a single shot. So let's look at how much coffee is extracted and whether the machine will stop automatically by itself. Right, so it's about getting 30 grams and it stopped automatically about 29 seconds.
Right, so as you can see in the second shot, the shot actually collected about 30 grams of coffee versus the first shot of 25 grams. So it is going to have a slight difference in terms of the gram. If you prepare your puck to be consistent as as almost the same as before, and you get every time exactly the same grind size and grind distribution, you probably can get very close results. But there are just too many factors which actually affect the flow of the coffee when actually you have the grinder to consider, you have the pulp preparation to consider. So there are definitely too many factors which can affect the flow. When the pressure kicks in the espresso machine, when the gear pump kicks in, the pressure, the press against your pulp, and the grind size, your distribution, all these will actually play a very important role. So definitely the machine can replicate, but bear in mind this is a volumetric machine, so it's going to have a slight it is registering the output of the coffee, and therefore depends on how well you prepare your pulp, and that will actually get you to the result you expect as close as possible, right? So this is probably the first thing that you may want to find out if you are getting a machine that's like this, right? This is very different from the flow control, which is everything by manual. This is actually you set the profile you like, and then you actually can run through the profile and then to repeat the extraction after every time, right? So this video is trying to cover the aspect of the functionality of this VBM Domobar Super Electronica, because I have not seen any people that try to give an explanation of how this machine actually works. So I think I'm attempting to actually try to explain to everyone, and I have communicated with the export manager from VBM, Dan, which is actually my good friend, and he has actually taught me on how to actually go through all this process. First test by using just water without the polyfilter to see how the water flows and whether it actually flows to the amount that you want, and you stop the machine in time. If the machine is able to do that, which means the rest is up to you, right? Because it's your own coffee, it's the grinder, and it's how well you prepare your pulp. So there are too many factors which can affect the results. Having said so, if everything is perfect, there's still going to be a discrepancy about 2 to 3 grams, maybe up to 5 grams of coffee. So that's actually pretty normal for this sound machine, right? But you always have the manual button to stop if you want to stop early. But if you are looking for a fully automatic machine, yeah, this may not be probably the best for you, because this is actually a semi-automatic machine whereby you still have to watch out for all the different factors, the variables that actually controls the output of the coffee, right? Thank you for watching today. This is CY once again. Remember to hit the like button, right? I will not be doing as much video as like before, because I actually try to do a video which I believe is going to benefit everyone, so that I'll be more selective in my content. So right now I'm actually doing a series of video which actually showcase the machines that we have and actually how I play with all these machines. And this is the second machine that I'm introducing after the Quick Mill Rubino, right? That is actually a very easy to use machine. Not much technology besides E61 and the heat exchanger. So, and this is definitely a much more high-tech machine as compared to the Quick Mill Rubino. So I will continue to monitor and play with the machine and do a second series on this machine, because there's a lot more of things to cover in this machine besides understanding the volumetric way of extracting coffee. And also you got to understand, not understand, we're going to try to explore what happens if I vary the pressure profile and how will that affect the taste of coffee, right? So that's the next thing we're going to do, right? So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, remember to hit the subscribe button and like my videos. It is really important for you to give us a thumbs up, like our videos, so that more people can actually get to watch our video, because maybe YouTube will actually run through the algorithm and then promote our videos more. So your thumbs up and your subscription is actually very vital for us, right? For our channel to grow. So thank you for watching once again. This is CY, and I'll see you in the next one.